Coming to you from the kitchen/podcast studio on the south coast of England in Brighton, this is the 200 to £100,000 Challenge podcast. Your go-to hub for no-nonsense content and absolutely no false promises of passive incomes or getting rich quick. So settle in and join your host Des Hamilton to find out exactly how to say goodbye to being poor and hello to being rich. Sponsored by Seller Amp. Sourcing analysis simplified.
Welcome back to the Backlog series. These are the series of interviews that formed part of the 200 to £100,000 Challenge podcast that we didn't get round to uploading, and they haven't seen the light of day on a visual platform. We recorded them and it is visual, we just didn't upload it. Don't ask me why, long story. Anyway, we're doing it now. What more do you want? If you like what we're doing, please like, comment and subscribe. This interview is with Lydia, Killion. They formed part of the episodes on the 18th and the 25th of April. Lydia was a girl who found her way onto my phone through the algorithm. I was getting big into manifestation, law of attractions, all of these things, affirmations. And next thing you know, Lydia pops up on my phone. I reach out to her and say, do you fancy coming on the podcast? She says, yes. And we are friends now, still friends. She is fantastic. She's just released a 2-week self-concept challenge. I have already done another YouTube post on scaling up where I talk about the benefits of having self-confidence. And being English, self-confidence can sometimes translate into arrogance in your own head. It's not. There's nothing wrong with being confident, but for some reason, we just feel ashamed by it. I don't even think that's an English thing, you know. I think that's probably a thing worldwide. Anyway, let's get into the interview. She's great. Roll it. Lydia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on. Genuinely, really lovely to meet you and so glad, looking forward to this one.
You're so welcome. I'm tongue-tied already. You're so welcome. Oh my God. I'm really excited to be here.
Good. No, I'm glad. Right then, this could end up being a 6-parter because I've got a feeling you and I can talk a lot. Let's get into it. Talk us through how you found this way of thinking, this way of living, and all of your journey.
So I found it when I always say 16, but I wasn't. It was 2 months shy of my 16th birthday, and my grandma had passed away, and my auntie travelled over from Ireland because all my family are Irish, my dad's side of the family are Irish, came over from Ireland for the funeral, and she had 7 copies of The Secret, and she gave us all one. And me and my dad just absolutely latched onto it, loved it. And personally for me, as like a 15-year-old girl, I had never been told that you can choose how you think. You can choose how you feel about yourself. I was always very ambitious. Like if you see my school reports from year 6, I've literally written in it, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be a pop star, all those kind of things. I've always been like a little entertainer. Yeah. So I've always wanted that. And there's one where it just says, I just know I'm going to be successful. I'm like in year 5. Do you know what I mean? So I always knew what I wanted in life. But also, as a 15-year-old girl, you're insecure. You've got body hanger. You've got all of these just bullshit going on in your brain.
Yeah.
For a book to tell me I could choose positivity was just mind-blowing for me. So I ran into school. I ran into year 11 with it, trying to give all the girls a copy, and they were having none of it. Because it does sound like absolute gobbledygook delusion. So that's when I first discovered it, and it just changed the trajectory of my life from that point forward.
Right. That's amazing. So you threw yourself proper in, did you?
Oh, fully in. And also, bear in mind, because I was grieving, it was an outlet for that grief as well, because it was like kind of channeling this energy into something else. Yeah. And so I just started thinking, okay, well, if my thoughts create things, let me see what I can do. And, I manifested my first job and my first car, and it just got really exciting. I loved it.
That's amazing. What about your dad?
My dad, he's always had that mindset anyway. He's always had that mindset of, he gets what he wants in life. He's just got that confidence about him. Yeah. And then he started applying it to his roofing business and everything like that. And we love it together. Like even last night, I brought him a book last week, and he messaged me saying, love the book lids. And, all of our TikToks, we send each other a law of attraction ones. And my mum is really into it as well. So I'm quite lucky to have had parents that buy into it, because everybody else's parents are going, get a real job, go to university, be normal. Stop thinking you can have everything in life, because you can't, and life is unfair and whatever. My mum and dad are the opposite. They're telling me to go do whatever I want and to believe in the universe. So
How
I'm a
lovely.
really
Yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice. I'm kind of the opposite of that, to be honest with you, because I do my affirmations in secret, like in the car when no
Many
one's
people do.
watching, tapping on my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not driving at the same time, for God's sake. But you understand what I mean. But
Most people do because it's not normal, and we haven't been brought up with that. We've been brought up with the complete opposite. Life's not fair. You know, whatever's going on is what's going on, and we can't change it. We've been brought up in a very powerless mindset, and
yeah,
so we do it in secret, and that's why I think TikTok, social media is just amazing right now because it is showing other people a different way to think.
yeah. No, I totally agree. I totally agree. I didn't find it until bloody hell, late 30s. Late 30s. I was in my first marriage, and I bought like a self-help book for the both of us because we were both miserable, and obviously we knew why, but we weren't looking at it at the time. And it was "You Are a Badass," Jen Sincero.
Oh, I read that one. I looked that one.
It's brilliant, isn't it? And I hadn't read The Secret. I didn't even know anything about it, and I'm cycling to work listening to this thing, and it just changed my world. Like the fact that you're meant to love yourself, you're meant to, thoughts become things. I'm not religious in the slightest, but the way she described it, it all just clicked, and you kind of just step into a brand new world, didn't you?
You do. I always say it's like the sunglasses are being taken off.
Yeah, love
and
it.
like you see the world in colour almost. Because all of these years, even like bad relationships, weight journeys, everything, you just kind of believe that you're stuck there. And that's a really disempowering feeling. It's a really depressing feeling, in fact.
Yeah.
And then to be told, oh no, you have the power over this. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And then when you start actually applying it and you see that that's just addictive, in my opinion, it gets addictive.
It does. But it's one of those, isn't it, really? It's so easy to go into a cycle when a string of bad things happen at once. You are so caught up in the moment, you forget your own frequency and you forget what you're doing, don't you? And it's a conscious effort to trigger back in. But I agree with you as well. It's only when you're scrolling through a TikTok and you say, of course, I forgot all about that. That's what I need to be doing.
Because our old patterns are so habituated, they're so stuck. I mean, even mine, 15 years, that's half my life now. So half of my life, I'm in that stuck pattern. If you're breaching into that 30, 40, 50, then you 2/3 of your life. But, so it's really training the brain. And also with manifestation, I always remind my clients, it's not so that everything in your life runs smoothly, because there are going to be shit days. You are going to have, not even because something bad's going on, but just because you're hungry or you've got bad gut health or you've not drank enough water that day, you're going to have bad moments. Or life is going to smack you in the face sometimes when life things occur. But it's about having a toolbox to deal with it, and then remind yourself there's always like a silver lining, or there's gold at the end of the rainbow. You just have to get through it.
Yeah, no, I love it. So what was the moment? So you're 15 years old, you've read this book, it's kind of enlightened it for you. What was the first thing? Do you remember the very first thing that you manifested and thought, shit, this actually works?
I can't remember the first. Do you know what? I've actually got my diaries from back then. I've kept a diary since year 10. No, sorry, since I was 10.
Wow.
The 20 years of my life, I've got just journals. And I always said I was going to publish them when I was 30, and then I turned 30 last year, and I was like, there's no way anybody is reading these. But I know I wrote a lot of stuff down in there, so I should have got it out for you today. But I remember my first one that really stands out to me was I wanted to manifest £464. Because at 15, 16, well, I would have been 16 then, that felt like a big amount of money to me. It felt like, if I've got that amount of money, that I can do a lot with. And I don't know what, I think I picked a random number so I would know that it had happened because of my manifestation. So instead of picking 100, 200, I thought, which are usual birthday figures, if that makes sense, people in your 20s or whatever. So I was like, no, £464. And I manifested my first job at B&Q, and my first wage check was around that. And I was like, wow, I've done it. And I'd completely forgotten about it as well. I'd forgotten about it at this point. I was just getting on with life, and I was just having fun being a 16-year-old. And then my wage check was like, wow, oh my gosh, I get this a month. This is amazing. And I felt rich beyond words. I can't describe how rich I felt that day. Because I didn't know, I hadn't asked how much my rate per hour was. So I was too scared. Being a 16-year-old, I was just like,
no, you don't. You just want a job, didn't you?
See what happens.
Yeah.
And also, all of my B&Q was paying great money at my age at that time. Probably still is, to be fair. It's great company for stuff like that.
Mm.
And my friends were all on like minimum wage, which was considerably less for a 16-year-old. I was on like an adult minimum wage or a bit above.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so when I got the check, I was just like in awe.
No, I was the same. I used to work at Foot Locker. This was like 1996. And I remember with my first wage slip, I went and got like a real Yves Saint Laurent shirt. That was that was the best thing ever. 50 quid, thinking I can afford 50 quid for a shirt. Yeah.
I'm convinced no matter how much work we do around money, we're never going to feel as rich as we did that day.
No
the
way.
first taste of it, that freedom, that whole new world that's opened up to you because of your paycheck. Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. So when did you then say, you know what, this is working for me, I'm going to help other people?
I knew straight away after reading that book that was what I was going to do with my life. I knew straight away, which I think I'm really fortunate to have that at such a young age, because I think a lot of people go through life and they still don't know what they want to do. I knew as soon as I read that book, I want to do what these people are doing. I want to share this message, probably because they were millionaires at the time. This is really good. But I just wanted to share that message. Like I ran into school to show the girls, like, oh my God, look at this book. I just wanted to pass it on. And I just wanted to share that we can think differently, we can feel better about ourselves, and we can have what we wanted. Like, you can be, do, and have anything you want. I thought I was going to be in my 40s when I did that. I thought my process was, I'm too young, nobody's going to listen to me yet. I've got no life experience. So I'll just crack on, and then when I'm ready, I'll be more credible to do it. Yeah. And then I ended up doing it at 20. I think I started at 23, 22, 20, 23. 23 I was.
Brilliant. And did anyone bring up your age ever?
No, they didn't actually.
No. I bet.
I mean, it was because I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was like, what do you want to do in life? And I think it was the first time I'd ever said it out loud, and I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker. Imagine like being told that. And I think he was about 19 at the time. And he was like, what? I was like, I want to be a motivational speaker. And I want to be a life coach. He was like, well, why don't you do it then? I was like, oh, I'm 23. I think I was 22 when we had this conversation. Yeah. So I'm 22. Who's going to listen to me? He's like, well, I'd listen to you. And that just got the cog turning in my brain. And then I started researching it. And there were people doing it in their 20s. Yeah. And it was all online, and it was like an online business. So my brain was just like sparking on every way you could imagine. And within the next year, I just made sure I did it.
It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, no, exactly right. But the reason I asked about your age really is just because I'm learning it really means nothing. It really means nothing.
Not at all.
So I interviewed a guy. We had a podcast yesterday. It will go out in the week before this one. He's 21, and he's got a business partner who's like 40 who understands the value that this 21-year-old lad's got. And he's flying. He was like flipping trainers at 16, got into graphic design, even though that was none of his qualifications, just because he thought that would work. Ended up getting clients in America. He's an Essex boy. Ended up getting clients in America for like cannabis design or something like that.
I love that.
Unbelievable. Thousands a month at like 16, 17. He said, I got sacked from Tesco. I probably didn't give a shit, did you? But it's...
Do you know what as well? The younger generation, they do learn a lot of YouTube these days and TikTok. So they are equipped with quite a lot more knowledge. So even though I was only young, I was constantly researching the subconscious mind, Bob Proctor, any law of attraction teacher I could find. So I had like this fountain of knowledge. I never script for my podcasts or my TikToks, and I didn't back then either. It was just that I could do a seminar for 5 days and probably not have a script because I've just been researching for so long. And I think we do self-study now. Mm-hmm. And because we do understand this, as the generations are going on, that school actually doesn't equip you with what we want to do in life a lot of the time. So we are going out and we're finding our own answers, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Absolutely right. The fact that information isn't guarded anymore, it's everything. It really is. And I think that's why people like me, I resonated so much with what you said. I didn't know what I wanted to do until I was after 40, you know. Mm-hmm. And even then, it was only once I'd settled into a happy marriage, a happy life, that I could even sort of start thinking beyond the immediate.
Yeah.
And then you plug it in, don't you, really? You plug it in and you find out more about yourself and you find out where your limits are. that's my biggest challenge by a mile. Is still figuring out my self-concept. I haven't got a bloody clue. I've got so much still to do on that before I can even address it. But I'm working on it, Lyd.
We all have, and I think it's only when you're at that right time, whatever age that hits you, that you are actually willing to have a bit of self-awareness, because it's not nice going inside and saying, okay, well, what are my limiting beliefs? What did I grow up thinking? And all this kind of stuff. It's not comfortable, which is why a lot of people don't want to do it, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest thing with my clients. I'm like, come on, we just need to get down to the nitty-gritty, and they'll avoid it for a while. But when you do open those doors, like, the world just changes for you.
Definitely. If you don't know the problem, you're never going to fix it, are you?
Exactly.
That's the thing. I did the Briggs-Myers test, personality test.
Yeah.
And I came out as the entertainer. And it was only when I looked at the weaknesses of that personality type, I was like, shit, that's proper looking in the mirror stuff. So I've got my therapist, who's like my EFT lady, and I've said to her, right, I found the problem. Come on, get cracking.
But it takes a special kind of mindset to do that, because a lot of people go, no, that's not my problem.
Yeah.
That's not my problem.
Yeah, this is it. But you can feel it holding you back, can't you? When you do find a problem, all of a sudden it's the loudest voice in your head when you find it. And it's just a case of...
It's like a toddler screaming.
Yeah.
And until you pick it up, it's not going to stop screaming.
Yeah, you're drowning it out.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I love it. Right, we have talked about this topic a lot, but I don't think we've actually described it. How do you best describe exactly what it is you do and the mindset that you employ?
So, I used to say I was a mindset coach. I say like I'm a manifestation teacher, and I teach you how to manifest the life you want. And within doing that, I help you increase your confidence as well. Confidence is a massive thing in the work I do. It's not just about manifesting the car, the money, the house, the business, the relationship. I want my clients to feel as best as they could possibly feel going throughout this life, because one, it's a short trip. What is the point of being insecure? And two, the opportunities are endless when you are in that confident state of mind. So that's a massive part of what I do. And I just basically teach you how to align your self-concept, which is your thoughts, feelings and belief about yourself, to the things you want, and also align your concept of the things you want to what you want to manifest. So, for example, if you wanted to manifest £1 million, we're going to align your thoughts and belief into the version of you who believes they can have £1 million, believes they're worthy of it, believes that's easy, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, great. So when you have you got a story off the top of your head that you think I am most proud of that one?
So this was from a few years ago when I was first starting out in coaching. I had a lady, and she had always been told she could never have kids, and she was going for IVF and all those kind of things. And, it's quite ballsy to say to somebody, well, like, just give this a shot. Just give this a shot, relax around it, like, chill out. And, and this, I don't think she was an actual client. I think she was a follower, but she might have been in some of my group programs. I don't think it was a one-on-one scenario. But, to say to somebody, just try thinking a little bit differently about this subject. Just what have you got to lose? You've thrown money at it. You've thrown everything else. Try this a little bit. And then you did having a baby. And that was like... Do you know what? The relationship ones and everything like that, when they say, oh, I've got engaged, I'm like, because everybody loves love. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I had one lady message me saying she was getting married. I had a lot of clients that messaged me saying they come for me for business coaching. And then, if you want to say, oh, Lyd, I met the love of my life, I've been engaged. I'm like, oh, that's great. But I think it's not just from my work. It's because they're stepping into their confidence and they're living the life that they're aligned with. And that naturally attracts in great things.
Exactly right.
So it's like the ripple effect of what we've been doing together.
Yeah, because you raise your confidence, you raise your mood, your frequency's up, and all of a sudden everything's in front of you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But the ones that I'm always most proud of is it's never like the material things that they've manifested. It's when they like message me and say, Lyd, I feel so much better. Like, I'm not hating the person I see in the mirror now. I know I'm capable of what I want. And that is, for me, everything. That's all I want for them.
Yeah, that must be so rewarding, Lyd.
It's amazing. It's so amazing. It makes you really just can't wait to get to work in the morning. I can't wait to make TikToks. I can't wait to reply to messages, because I know what I'm doing is like really powerful. Yeah,
genuinely. And the IVF one, fair play to you. That must be so emotive. The things that lady must have gone through just emotionally before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For me, it's not, because I love babies. If you follow my personal Instagram, like, I'm Auntie Lyd. I've got so many god babies. I've got about I say 10 or 11 now. I've always been kids. I love them. So for me, I was just like, oh, that's just so wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Really good stuff. So when we talk about confidence and we link that with everything that you do, what advice would you give to anyone listening to this who might be struggling with self-confidence in anything?
I would say understand that it is more within your power than you think. That doesn't mean it's going to be easy. If you looked at how I was 7 years ago, recovering from like breakup and things like that, you wouldn't have looked at me and gone, "Oh yeah, she's well confident." I think we're all confident as children. You know, we don't go, "Oh, shall I cry today? Like, will I be fed today?" We know, like, if we cry, we're going to get attention. We're going to, you know, you ask a toddler who's the best person in the world, they're going to say them.
Yeah.
And they'll say it proudly. And they will show you the most rubbish drawing of a house and they'll be delighted with it. They just know it's brilliant. And so I think we're all inherently born knowing we're confident and having that worth. As we get older, it gets knocked out of us by people who are around us, society, social media, magazines, whatever it was growing up. And so I feel like we have to almost learn it again. And we have to remind ourselves of, okay, well, I'm actually not that bad. Now, I always say to people, unless you're a murderer, you're probably not that bad. You're not half as bad as you think you are.
No.
And so I always say, just start with a few things. Just remind yourself that you're good enough exactly as you are. There's nothing wrong with you, and you deserve the world. Just start with those 3. Just delicately start trickling them in, and you will build it up over time. Don't expect to wake up tomorrow. I mean, I hope you wake up tomorrow feeling 10 out of 10 confidence. But I think when we have that expectation, we start getting mad that we don't feel that way. Oh, I don't feel that way now, whatever. Just see it as like a journey, and just see it as, like, I always say, like one stepping stone at a time across the river.
Yeah.
Just see it each day as like a new stepping stone. Filter out things that make you feel unconfident. So, for example, I won't follow anybody on social media that doesn't have my body type, because I know I'm going to be staring at their long legs or their giant bosom, and I'm going to be like, I want to look like that, and I'm never going to look like that because it's not my body shape. So unless, you know, I'm not comparing myself to them, that was the one thing I really started to do, was stop comparing myself to people I am never going to look like.
Yeah.
Stop watching reality TV that makes you feel like shit. You know, even like songs, music, anything. Just start cutting out this. It's almost like subliminal programming of people. You know, not. I mean, it's kind of intentional, kind of unintentional, but things that make you feel bad about your life. Going on social media every day, looking at lifestyles. If it's inspiring, keep going.
Yeah.
If it's making you feel like shit because you don't earn that amount, stop it.
Yeah.
Because it's self-abusive at that point. When you're constantly going in and comparing, you are going to feel like rubbish about yourself.
Definitely. I suppose it's just implementing being present and checking in on yourself and being aware of how you're feeling when you are consuming stuff.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? When you start thinking about everything that we've learned about mental health and mindset, how it links to physical health and the mindset you put in place to look after yourself physically. Because what you just described there, that's the equivalent, isn't it, of getting rid of the biscuits from the cupboard.
Yeah.
It's just take away the
triggers.
Yeah. Really interesting. And then you put it into words like that, and it's so fucking obvious as well. It's just it's never gone into anyone's head before.
Well, it's because it's just a daily part of our routine. We get online, we look at social media, and then like, oh, I feel like crap. But we don't realise it's making us feel like crap. Because it's just second nature to us. And, you know, we are kind of like on autopilot all the time as well. So it's just like you said, checking in with yourself and having that self-awareness of, is this making me feel good?
Yeah.
If it is, then keep going, go for it. If it's not, just, you don't have to unfollow anybody. You don't have to stop it forever. Just say, do you know what? Let me try a few days without doing this, see how I feel.
Yeah. And that's before you even start putting in things like affirmations or EFT. This is just general day-to-day conscious choices that you can make, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, love it. So when would you sorry, let's start that again. When would you say things like affirmations should come in to play? Is that something that you would recommend? Yeah. Because
we have like 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. So Google and all the research says 90% of those are recycled from the day before. So that is just our automatic thoughts, opinions, beliefs about everything in life. When we start to change those, that's when we change what's going to happen in our future. When we start rewriting the stories we have about ourselves, so like I said, feeling like we're actually enough for once, reminding ourselves, oh, we do deserve the world. Actually, there's nothing that wrong with me. I'm not that bad. Just changing those few things and affirming, I'm enough would change everything, because it's not something you've ever really focused on before. You focus on how you're not enough, how you're not good enough for that job. If you do get the job, you've got imposter syndrome. You feel like, oh, I'm going to get caught out soon.
Yeah.
Or he's going to leave me soon. He's going to find out I'm not good enough. He's going to go with someone else. Oh, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, whatever. Just a load of shit show on ourselves all the time. So just changing that to nice thoughts about ourselves can just change your whole life.
Yeah. And it really does as well. Is it Neville Goddard? Is that the right guy?
Yeah.
Have I got the one? No, so I'm reading his book at the moment, and he's saying if you want to talk to your subconscious, you do have to do it out loud repeatedly through affirmations to start feeling it as well.
Definitely.
Since following you, I have used my little podcasty bit to record my own affirmations with some plinky plonk music. I've got
love that.
Yeah, I've got a morning set, an afternoon set, and an evening set.
Love that.
And I've kind of broken it through.
When you have them on recording, so I always tell people to record their own, purely because I don't know what's going on in your mind right now. So I don't know what your limiting beliefs are unless you told me and I recorded a personalised set for you. So you can listen to ones on YouTube. I've got some on YouTube. I've got Rampage, sleep affirmations, but they might not be as personal and specific to what you need to have. So I always recommend people, there's an app called the Parrot app, and you can listen to it on a loop. And I think that's so powerful because you're actually getting to the nitty gritty of what you need to work on.
Yeah.
So I love that you've recorded your own. And also, it's just a lazy way of doing it.
That's why I did it.
It's a lazy way of getting it. But that's the best thing, because when it's a lazy way, when it's just something that's a part of your day anyway, so I'll stick it on while I'm in the bath or while I'm like getting ready in the mirror, because I'm doing that anyway.
Yeah.
So I haven't got a set 3 hours out of my day to sit down chanting affirmations and changing my subconscious. I can just do it as a background thing.
Yeah. No, this is it. Blimey, this is a window into my soul here. So I've look, when I drop my boy off to nursery, I stick it on my phone through the car, and I've recorded it like I would do if I was learning a foreign language. I've repeated it twice. So I'll listen to it once and then I'll say it with myself the second time. And and I'm talking to like out the window as if I'm talking to the sky. It's impossible not to feel amazing afterwards. It's impossible.
Definitely.
And it sets you up for the day.
It does. And I always say to my clients, make it as routine in your day as brushing your teeth. Because when you do that, it just becomes second nature. It's just a habit. And also, I don't know anybody who genuinely wakes up and goes, oh, I can't wait to brush my teeth. I can't wait to brush my teeth today. It's going to be mint. You just do it. Not saying we don't want to, but you're not going to leave the house without, I hope we're not, but most people are not going to leave the house without brushing our teeth. So when you make it as routine as the car or while you're getting ready or something that's just a part of your day, you're just going to do it anyway, even on the days where you don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Even on the days where you're having a bad day or a bad morning, you're just going to stick it on because it's just a part of your day now. So the easier you can get it in, like we've said, the car or getting ready or sleep affirmations, it just becomes second nature that's just part of your routine.
Yeah, no, completely agree. It's habit stacking, isn't it? So find a habit that you do every day, throw this one on top. So while the kettle's boiling, why not say a couple of things out loud? It does nothing to you. And then, so let's get into EFT. I've recently found EFT.
Mm-hmm.
And everything when you talk about this, it sounds nuts, doesn't it?
Oh, it sounds psycho.
It's ridiculous. Someone told me it's acupuncture with your fingers. Piss
off.
That's
what they say.
Ridiculous. But I love it. I don't think I'd ever go without it now.
My friend the other day, we were going to watch my friend box, and I just had a bit of, I don't get social anxiety, but I've never been to the boxing before, so I was just a bit like this in the car, because people don't realise you don't have to sit down on YouTube and watch an hour of EFT. You can just, do it. And my friend went, what are you doing? There's a girl on EastEnders that does that. I don't know EastEnders, so I went, oh, it just helps my nerves a little bit. He went, yeah, that's why she does it for anxiety. And I thought, oh my God, tapping's on EastEnders. This is amazing.
I don't watch it either. I'm willing to bet she's an absolute nut job.
Yeah, probably making everyone think like, oh my God, what's she doing? But I was just sat there like, slightly like just, self-soothing myself. Because that's what it is. It's self-soothing, parenting yourself.
Yeah, it is.
what are you doing? It's like, trust me.
Exactly. So I'll do squeezing the fingers and the collarbone. They're the ones they're my default ones.
They're easy to do, that's why. I mean, you can do that as you're driving if you've got one hand on the stick.
That's it.
You can, or like mine's the karate chop, like I'll just sit there because no one can really see you doing it.
No, they can't.
So it's like it doesn't. You can't tell you're too nervous if no one can see it.
No. That's true as well. I love it. But yeah, so if you can put those 3 things in place, get your confidence and your frequency up, start saying things as affirmations, tap on your head as you're saying it, it will change your world before you know it. It really will.
Well, tapping's amazing because it regulates your nervous system. So your nervous system affects everything from your stress levels to your gut health to everything. Most people are in a state of, well, most people might be a strong statement, but a lot of people go through life in a state of fight or flight. And again, we feel like we don't have any control over our anxiety, or we go doctors and we get beta blockers and we try and do it like in a medicinal way. But meditation, breathwork, or tapping's my favourite. EFT is my favourite because I'm naturally a little bit energetic, it just curbs my need to be constantly doing something instead of lying there meditating. But tapping, it regulates your nervous system. And for so long, I think I felt like I was just an anxious person and I just didn't realise my nervous system was just shot to bits. So I was constantly cortisol out my head, fight or flight, and on what's the word I'm looking for? On alert all the time. What's going to go wrong? Something bad's going to happen. And I lost my best friend 2 years ago. And I'm going to say PTSD, but kind of like, my response since that has been quite panicky. My phone's always on do not disturb because I hate getting random phone calls. But EFT has really, really helped me with that as well. And it's just got that calm state. If I get a random phone call now, I'm like, oh, it's probably something great. Instead of like a year ago where I was like, because I only started doing EFT regularly this time last year. It had always been a kind of something I'd lean on if I felt like I needed it, but it wasn't an everyday thing. And I was seeing all of these creators talk about regulate your nervous system, it will speed up your manifestations. I'm one of them people, if somebody online is proof in the pudding, they've got £1 million business and they're telling me to do something, I'm going to do it. Because they clearly walk so I can run. So I'm going to start doing it. And they were not wrong.
Yeah.
Everything got flat. Because when you manifest as well, the things you want are going to come in the path of least resistance. So when you're tapping EFT, breathwork, meditation, you're releasing that resistance out your body. So you're creating like a calmer path for them to come in anyway.
Yeah. I can't agree more. And again, 3-4 weeks ago, I wouldn't have had a clue of what you were talking about either. I found this the therapist purely on, it was like reprogramming basically. And we went in there and before you know it, she's talking to me about EFT and then I'm taking these breaths. My God, I've never known a deep breath like it. You know what I mean? It felt like it came from my brain. It was ridiculous.
I yawn when I do.
I've
heard some people burp. I'm so glad I don't burp. But it's just to release out your body. But I really yawn and my eyes like, not cry, but when you yawn, you start tearing up.
Yeah.
And I'm constantly like, and so when I record YouTube ones, I have to like really try not to yawn on them. Because even though I'm doing it for my audience, obviously your brain doesn't know that. So I'm just really trying to keep it down. But you're right, the release is just unbelievable.
It's insane, isn't it? Speaking of the YouTubes, I had a look at some of them. They're mega, aren't they? They're like 3-4 hours long.
Yeah, the sleep affirmation ones are. Yeah, there's just to listen to them and program your mind while you sleep. I'd love to do 8-hour ones, but I don't know if it's my bandwidth or whatever. It just doesn't let me upload any longer than 3 hours at the moment. Oh,
that's a shame.
I know.
But no, they are great. Very soothing as well. I definitely recommend them.
I'm a light sleeper. I have trouble sleeping. I've suffered with insomnia forever, blah, blah, blah. I love listening to sleep affirmations. And my trick is to count down from 100 in my mind as I'm listening to the sleep affirmations. And I feel like it cancels it out. And it's better than a sleeping tablet. Kind of knocks me out. I never get to like number 1. I go 199. And then probably get to 50 and I'm just asleep.
Wow. So let's talk about how you have applied this to your own life and the successes you've had from the back of this. So talk us through your greatest hits.
Okay, so when I first started applying this for my coaching business, like 7-8 years ago, it's coming up to 8 years now in May, that was when I really started doing it consistently every single day because I was trying to create a new business, if that makes sense. So that was really exciting. However, what I will say is I wasn't working on self-concept then. So when I started getting the big money months, amazing clients, my relationship was going amazing at the time, my body looked great. I remember hitting my first big money month in that business. It was February 2017. And I remember the payment coming through and instantly my body just went into shutdown and started freaking out. And it was like, I thought I was going to lose everything. And it was so debilitating. It was like, oh my God, I was just in panic all the time. And lo and behold, everything started crumbling after that because I hadn't matched the self-concept up. So this past year has just been so much fun because I know better now. And I've worked on my self-concept alongside manifesting the coaching business and, manifested moving to Ibiza last year. Again, I did it when I was 25. Wasn't as fun though. Did it last year, had the time of my life.
For the summer, or you there now?
Manifested it for the summer, yeah. I wouldn't like Ibiza in the winter. I feel like it's too quiet.
Yeah.
Not enough life there. Just manifested just like the money months in this business, but I get to keep it now because I've worked on self-concept. So it's like, okay, what can I do next?
Yeah.
Instead of being worried about what's going to happen, I'm like, okay, where can I go next? This is great. I deserve this. And so it's been so much more fun. But I've manifested houses. I manifested my old house in lockdown. So I was living with my grandma during lockdown, and then I loved going to Aldi in lockdown. Obviously, my grandma hated it because she was terrified.
I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a sociable person. It just killed me. So I was going to Aldi with my gloves on any chance, probably every day. And so she was like, Lydia, like, you're going to have to leave. She was terrified, which is right, like, I completely understand why.
Yeah, of course.
So I moved back in with my mum and dad, but they were living with my other granddad at the time. And so I had the sofa in a conservatory, a leather sofa in a conservatory. Oof. And if you remember lockdown,
it was boiling.
Absolutely boiling. So I was waking up just like super glued to the sofa. Everything. But I absolutely loved it. I loved being back with my mum and dad.
Yeah.
And because I knew I was gonna be moving into my new place whenever I manifested it, but I knew the next place I lived was gonna be me living on my own from then on. So that living back with my mum and dad, I really savoured that. But then it got to May and Boris said I still wasn't going back to work. I was like, the sofa's getting too sticky now. It's getting really hot now.
We're not even in the summer yet, Boris, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I need to manifest like a house. Bear in mind, I had no income. I had no income coming in. I wasn't coaching. No one wanted to be coached. I didn't want to coach because I was too busy trying to keep myself just above water. And I was in my lash business at the time. Obviously, close contact beauty service. That was like a no-go.
Yeah.
But my batshit crazy mentality is I don't care. It's going to work out. I'm looking back. I was moving out with no income. I don't know why I thought that was ever going to work. But it did. And so I wrote down, I have 2 bedrooms because yes, there's only one of me, but I want like a little dressing room as well. I need your space. Ideally a house, but apartment's fine, like a flat's fine. White walls, not going into no manky, like green scenario, like 1990s thing going on. So I was very, very clear about what I wanted. Within a week or two, this listing come up. Now the pictures of this listing did not look that great, but I was like just really drawn to it. Went to look at it, and it was like I always say abandoned. It wasn't abandoned. It was a refurbished brewery, and I was like, that's my house. Like that is totally a bit of me. Townhouse, mint, love it. And then my mum's friend said, why don't you, because I rang the guy, he said, yeah, I can get you a booking, but there is a lot of people viewing it. You 10th on the list. And my mum's friend said, ask him if you can have first viewing if you send him half the deposit now. And I was like, well, what if I don't like it? She went, well, then you've lost 300 quid, but if you do like it, you've got your house. And I was like, that's genius.
Yeah.
So I did, and he let me go view it, and that was my house. But it wasn't over yet because I still had to get cleared through the agency that he had. And this form, I hope he never watches this. Sorry, Peter. But this form said, you have to be earning 3 times the rent to be able to afford the house. I had no income. But by the grace of this majestic universe, my bank statement said I was earning like 6 grand. I have no idea why. No idea why. And I was like, I'm going to send them through anyway. If he says that, if they say no, they're not going to arrest me. Fine. I mean, I hope they don't come back and arrest me. I don't know what am I saying, but I didn't really do it. No, I'm joking. But yeah, so then I set it through and I got the green flag.
It's unbelievable.
I know. That's why I always say a way will be made. A way will be made. And then when I had to move out of that house, so the house I'm in now is one of my friend's houses. And when I first went to look, when she first moved in, I remember going into the bathroom and being like, wow, I want this. But I didn't mean this specific bathroom. I meant like, this is what I want. And that's what I felt like internally. Like, I want this. I want this big bathroom, this big, beautiful bath. And it's freestanding. I was just like, oh, this is what I want in my next house. Well, a month later, the landlord said he's selling the house. He's putting it up on the market of my old house. And then I was like, okay, I just want to stay in it till Christmas. Like, this is what I'm saying mentally, because that was July. And then in the January, okay, I've sold the house. You've got a month to get out. So I was like, I should have said longer than Christmas, but whatever. Anyway, so that day, obviously I'm in bits. Loved that house so much. I was like, it's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to work out. And the friend who owns this house rang me. She said, Lyd, why don't you move into my house until you move to Ibiza? Like, I'm moving with my boyfriend from it. I was saving a bit of money. Like, why don't you do that? And I was like, yeah, great. Amazing. So like these fantastical things in the universe, like, they just happen when you've got that faith that it's going to work out and I can do this. The most batshit crazy things are going to start happening to you. Like, it's just going to be crazy.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the end, that last little bit there. If you've got the faith, if you believe it's going to happen, and you do, you've got no choice.
I think there's a belief and also an openness to let the universe fill in the blanks.
Yes.
Because neither of those scenarios, I would never have predicted that was how it was going to happen. Never. And anything that's ever happened in my life, I've never predicted. You think you can predict it. And our natural human ability, or like human brain, is to go, oh, I can control this. And the brain works by patterns. So because it happened in ABC in the past, we expect it to happen again in the future. It doesn't work like that. The universe is like way more creative than we are.
Yeah.
And faith and fear both demand that you believe in an invisible force. So you may as well believe in the one that's in your favour.
Ah, what a phrase. Love it.
Yeah, no, you may as well, because one's going to lead you down the dark path and the other one's going to lead you into the light. So you just have to train your brain to just see the positives and just expect the best.
Yeah, no, I agree. Even from my own personal point of view, I got into my business thinking I was going to be an Amazon seller. This podcast was never, ever, ever in my brain. And now it's the thing that's made me connect to people like you, connect to people that I would never, ever have connected with.
Yeah,
and it's
definitely
changed everything. Yeah, I love it.
It's just those little like confetti bombs from the universe of like, this is how good it gets. Like when you change your mindset and then you start on the trajectory of like focusing on a life you want to create, like you and your wife have done, like, let's just see what we can do. I just think the universe starts throwing these amazing opportunities away that you would never have even thought were going to be a part of the journey.
No, exactly right. And you're right. You look back over your life and you realise these things happen because at the time you needed them to happen.
Yeah.
And it actually happened because of it. When me and my first wife separated, I moved back in with my parents, potless. The usual debt that someone gets when they come out of a divorce.
Yeah, of course.
And I had no idea where I was going to make money from. And then I saw an application for a game show, and I got onto a game show on the BBC. But by the time I got there, by the time it was filming, it had sorted itself out, and I didn't have that need anymore.
Yeah.
But it's just, I remember going to this audition, and they basically said, "We're going to take 2 of you out of 100," and they took me, and it just happened because but at that point I was fully immersed, knowing that I needed to rewire my brain, if you know what I mean. So I was ready at that stage. But yeah, I love it. And you can look back over your own life, can't you, and think, right, when has there been a time where I've desperately needed money, and then for some reason or other it's come about?
It always, it's always come. Money, I always say money is like it circles back. It's a renewing resource. It's always going to circle back to you. It's just the nature of money.
Yeah.
Like I said, my dad and my mum, they were very, it'll work out. They've got that mindset. Even before we read The Secret, they have got that. It'll always come. It'll always work out. Think of every single time where you thought it wasn't going to work out. Did it work out? Always works out. So when I realised, like, actually, Lyd, it always works out, I stopped panicking about stuff as much.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, for every time I've panicked and I've spent days and days like in my own head, like, oh my God, it's always worked out.
Yeah.
So I put that part out now because that's not fun. And just trust and know it's going to work out. And because of that, it works out faster now.
Yeah, it does. Because you all of a sudden, your periphery's open, right? And you started looking for things that have probably been there your whole life that you wouldn't have paid attention to.
Exactly.
So let's talk about your business. What is it that you offer in your coaching?
So I offer a range of services. So I've got workshops, so they're self-study. You can just watch them in your own time. I've got a membership, which I'm obsessed with right now, purely because, like we said earlier, a lot of the times we're doing these affirmations on our own in private, in secret, or, maybe we've discovered affirmations and manifestation and we're a little bit embarrassed to share it with anybody else. Because there's a community part of my membership, like I just love the friendships that are being made, and someone's having a bad day, they write it in the group and everyone's boosting them up, and I think that's a space where they've not had that before. And I remember, I was manifesting for 7 years before I could speak to somebody about it, really, because the boyfriend I was talking about earlier, he was the first person, like, apart from my mum and dad, where I was genuinely going, I'm going to manifest this, I'm going to manifest that. And then I started meeting people. When I started my coaching business 8 years ago, then I started going in forums and stuff and manifestation groups, and just having like-minded people that are sharing the vision. It's incredible, like incredible with your journey and keeping you on track as well, because then you're not doubting it as much. So I've got the membership. You can get email coaching with me, or you can have like one-on-one sessions with me as well.
So with your TikTok, you have grown, haven't you? You've gone, what, 71,000 now?
71,000 now, yeah.
Good for you. That's amazing.
And what's funny? The goal was always 10. I've even got like Snapchats that I saved from like when I first started making it, like I'm going to be TikTok famous. In lockdown, I was saying I'm going to be TikTok famous because I could see all these TikTokers like going and living their best life, and we were all in lockdown. And I just seen it, was like, no, that's what I want. TikTok is a gold mine right now. TikTok. But yeah, I've grown that in 18 months.
Wow. From nothing?
Yeah. From nothing, yeah. From new account.
Brilliant. And your style is amazing. I love that you said you didn't write a script, because that is bloody obvious. You can tell. But in a good way. I tend to write bullet points, and I know that I've got to cover that, and that. And that will do me. But I think what I've done is I've taken sort of, not influence, I'm not copying you, but at the same point, if I stumble over my words or if I spill some tea down my mouth, I'm going to keep it in from now on, because that's it's life, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
So is that a conscious?
I don't work very well with a script. In fact, I get too caught up in the script, and then I miss points of what my brain just naturally works on a tangent. And I remember I had a comment a few weeks ago, probably a few months ago now, and it was like, can you just get to the point? And I was like, I wish I could. Genuinely wish I could, but I can't. And there's 60,000 people that love it right now, so
yeah, right.
Maybe on someone else.
Exactly right. Jeez.
Try and change yourself so much to be perfect for TikTok. It's not going to come across authentic either. So I could sit there, trying to be proper with my script. It just wouldn't come across authentically, and you're not going to get the right people following you.
No, that's it. And again, it comes across then that you might not necessarily know your onions. It, like you said, the research and stuff you put in, it pours out of you.
Exactly. It literally pours out of me.
How's your Instagram?
Non-existent. No, it's got follow. No, so I don't post anything on my personal Instagram. So that's probably grown quite a bit since I started, but I've not really kept track of it. I started an Instagram probably about 2 months ago. It's got 100 followers now. I am really focused on growing TikTok and YouTube. Adding another one in is just like it's just a bit.
Yeah.
When I created it, I was like, I'm going to start creating reels every day. But doing TikToks, YouTubes, podcasts, and I'm like, you know what? Instagram's going to be a slow burner, and that's fine.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, and it just, and you know what? You'd think having so many followers on TikTok would correlate to Instagram, but it doesn't. They don't go over. And that's not just with our accounts, that's with any creator you see. Say if they've got like 1 million on TikTok, you'll probably find they've got 10%, if that, on Instagram. It's crazy.
Yeah, or the other way round for some reason or other. It is weird. But I agree with you. I can't keep my posts under 90 seconds either. So you put them on a reel on Instagram, all of a sudden it's like part 2, and no one's sticking around for part 2. You know what I mean?
And I think as well, people are going to watch the content. They are good. You know, if it's something they're really interested in, the right people are going to stick around and watch the content. I think mine and your TikToks are very similar because we're not making TikTok careers. And what I mean by that is, you know, the creator fund's great, but we're not expecting it to pay the bills. It's a nice little bit of pocket money, but we're not, you know, I'm not in the business of getting brand deals, and that's not, you know, I don't have to make my content the way everybody else is making it because it's for business purposes for me.
Yeah.
So therefore it is going to be educational. It's going to be longer than your average TikTok.
Yeah.
So I think that's the difference between our kind of businesses and our TikTok.
I think you're right. Going back to what you were saying about earlier, as I was getting the money that I was expecting to get, this just overwhelming imposter syndrome, but I don't think it was imposter syndrome looking back. It's exactly like you said. I don't think I'd figured out my self-concept at that point. And I was always of the, I don't deserve this because of the barrier that I've always put myself in. And I labelled myself as a working class boy, even though that's got nothing to do with it. But that's my self-concept, that it's an issue that I need to address. I thought, right, I've got my 70,000 followers now. I want to kick on to the next level. And I found myself just becoming like every other creator that talks about side hustles and businesses. And all of a sudden I've sort of stagnated. So I had this, about 2 weeks ago, I thought, well, fuck this. No, go back to who you are. Go back to the things that you were doing. And if brands come to you and want to work with you, they do that because of the style that you had put in.
Exactly. Do you know what? The Creator Fund did that to me as well. My dad is obsessed with TikTok. I don't think he did. Do you know what's funny? I always say I've got a Hannah Montana lifestyle at the moment because I've grown my TikTok account in secret from my hometown. In my head anyway. I didn't put it on any of my personal accounts, anything like that. That was my little safety net for me. Let me just build this thing in private, and you know, if it works, great. If it doesn't, well, nobody's seen, kind of thing.
I did say.
So now it's at 70,000. People have started to say, "Oh, I've seen you on TikTok." I'm like, great. But with 70,000 followers, I can kind of go like, oh, you know, it's not as embarrassing as if it was like 50 followers, which there's nothing wrong with at all. But that was just like my safety net. So yeah, I don't know if my dad has seen my. It's funny because my dad's best friend found my account, and my dad's best friend is also my mechanic. My car is probably one of the last things that I have I've not manifested a new car yet, and reason being is because I got this car in lockdown, and I don't know why it goes in limp mode all the time. I love this car. He found my TikTok and he went, "Why haven't you manifested a new car yet?" I was like, that is brilliant. I was like, listen, I've had a house, a business, Ibiza, just let me do it in my order. Yeah, my dad was finding videos about the Creative Fund, and so he was sending me them. And so then I got accepted for it. And then the first month I made like £300. I was like, wow, that's a lot extra for doing nothing. So then I started creating videos that were trying to pop off for 90 seconds. And then I was just trying to fit into this Creative Fund. And after about a month, I did the same as you. I was like, the fuck am I doing? Like, I wasn't doing this before. So why am I doing it now? Because the Creative Fund isn't going to be my bread and butter, number one. And it can't take precedence over my clients and my audience and what they need from me. So I was the same. When the Creative Fund hit me, I started trying to change my content and make it more impactful. It was impactful anyway. It gets in your brain a little bit, and it's that, like I said, that comparison almost. We start trying to do what everyone else is doing. Yeah,
definitely. I left the program in the end because of exactly that. I thought, well,
really,
yeah, not worth it. I think I'd rather at least then be, authentic, like you said, without that distraction.
Yeah, I agree. I thought we were doing that.
Yeah,
everyone's saying that they're making millions off it. I'm like, how?
Yeah.
Well, how? I mean, hats off to them. I'm glad they are.
Yeah, exactly. I did a post that had something like over 100,000, and I ended up with something like 40 quid.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then what you're doing, then you start thinking the post isn't that good because the Creative Fund is only paid for a certain amount, when that's not the case.
And TikTok doesn't like me. You start thinking that, don't you? Like TikTok, like a person. There's a guy walking around called TikTok who doesn't like me, and it just, I thought, no.
It messes with your brain a little bit. It does.
It does. But no. So what's next for you now? Where are you on your growth plan?
Do you know what? I am the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. But just genuinely happy, content, and that is all I've ever wanted out of life. And this has been since I turned 30, which I was really scared about. I think everyone's scared about turning any milestone. But the beauty of me turning 30 was I started to think about what I wanted to happen in my 30s kind of thing. And so I feel like the past year has just been genuinely me cultivating that happiness, not because of a man, not because of the business. I mean, the business is great and that's probably adding to it immensely because it is so purposeful and amazing.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's happiness for no reason, like it's contentness. So that for me is my biggest priority in my own journey, is just cultivating that, keeping that inner peace, protecting it, adding to it. And then in terms of the business, obviously I'm on that 100k now on TikTok. Because once I hit 10k, I didn't really care about like what was coming next. It was like just fun. But then now because the 100k is really close, I'm like, oh, I'd really love 100k. But I'm not hyper focusing on it to the point where I'm going to change my content. I'm just going to keep going. I don't care when I hit it. It's just going to be nice when I do.
Yeah.
And then just to keep growing and helping as many people as I can. I just want to help as many people as I can. Just create that happiness within themselves, like me. And I always say that I think I trick my clients because they'll sign up for me because they want the relationship, the body, the money, the business. But I always work with them on their self-concept. And that's my favourite part of what we work on together, because their happiness, it's the best thing they can have in life. And it's a real underrated manifestation. I always say the person you become along the way to your goals is your best manifestation. No one can take that from you. No one can take this version away from me now, because I've grown it, I've made it. And again, with my clients and, you know, in your journey as well, once you get to that point of awareness about what you can do, what you're capable of, the life you can create, that can't be taken away from you ever again.
No.
And so that's just magical. And I just want to help as many people realise that, if I'm honest.
Good for you. Good for you. That's so amazing as well. Because it's especially at that sort of age, there's so many expectations, isn't there, from what society decides is relevant. And none of it matters. None of it matters.
None of it. I mean, I'm really lucky because in my family, you know, my mum and dad were little ravers in the 80s. So we've got that like peace, love, kind of free spirit energy anyway. So all of the normal societal pressures that I should be feeling, I don't feel like I feel them as much as everybody else. You know, when I said I was going to do a season at 30 in Ibiza, my mum and dad were going, yeah, fucking go for it. Like, that's great. Oh, I wish we could do that. Whereas I feel like every single other parent on the planet would have gone, do you not think you need to be settling down now? Do you not think you need to be elevated? So I'm quite lucky. I feel like the pressures aren't hitting me as much.
Yeah.
But then I feel that's my superpower for my clients as well and my audience, because it's that voice for them saying, well, you can do what you want. Who cares what age you are and, you know, what society says you should be doing. And most of them are unhappy anyway, so go do it. But if it's going to make you unhappy, what's the point?
Yeah. And that's such an important trait for a coach in anything, isn't it? You got this voice of authority and there's you saying, live the life you fucking want to live. That's so empowering.
It's so empowering. And again, like, I'm very lucky because I was brought up with a family that, you know, my little brother's a DJ as well. So we're telling him, like, you can do what you want. Like, he's going to be a superstar DJ. We're like, my mum and dad are amazing in that aspect because they're just telling us, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. Do what you want, because they just want to see us happy. Not a lot of other people have that. Even in friendships, you know, they have Debbie Downer mates. I go in and don't even want to see them succeed because it would mean that they're doing something different to what they're doing. So just to have that one voice, even if it's on the internet, on a random TikTok that is saying, no, do what you want, be happy, who cares? Yeah. I think it's so important. And that's what I want for people when they find my page, to just learn that you don't have to give a fuck. You really don't.
No,
but
you don't. Definitely right. I'll tell you what, that is such a perfect way to end. Right, where can we find you? I'm going to put everything in the show notes anyway, but let's go. Okay. Let's cover it.
So I am the 444 agency on everything, I think. So TikTok, the 444 agency. Instagram, it's the 444 agency coaching, because I lost the other account. I don't think they thought I was down. And then YouTube, it might be Lydia Killion, because I don't think I changed that. However, if you type in the 444 agency, Lydia, it will come up as well.
Great. And you mentioned a podcast as well.
Yes, sorry. So, Get a Fucking Life, Babe podcast.
Love it.
Reason being, let me just clarify that. So, I don't just teach mindset work. I don't teach affirmations or that. I teach you need to have a life outside of that as well. We're not going to sit around and be sad and miserable journaling in our bedrooms for this big life to happen to us. We're going to start creating that life now by getting hobbies, by having fun, by adding purpose and joy and fulfillment in our life. So a lot of the times we think we're sad and depressed. We just need to get a fucking life and just go out and live it.
Yeah.
And just start enjoying it and being present. So that's what I was saying it that many times in my podcast, because it used to be called Vibe With It or something like that. And in the end I was like, guys, I need to change the podcast name because it just seems to be what I'm saying in every episode.
Yeah, it's better. It's a good one as well.
It just packs a punch, doesn't it?
It does. I saw your recent post as well where you were talking about this, and I found myself saying it out loud as well. Exactly right. If you're not having fun, what's the fucking point?
No, what's the point? In business, in relation, in everything. Like
everything.
Yeah, we're going to have bad days, we're going to have sad days, but sometimes we just need to get moving. We need to get out of our head, into our bodies, go see our friends, go have fun. I mean, this time last year, I started learning gymnastics at the age of 29. Because I was like, it's something I've never done, that I've always wanted to do. I'm going there tonight, actually. And then I started learning Spanish, Duolingo, and it was just like, that was just little ways for me to just start adding, you know, instead of mindless scrolling or whatever, just adding fun into my life. So
definitely, yeah. Because
and also, I don't think we're taught to have hobbies as we grow. In fact, we're taught to grow out of them.
Yes, we are, and we're taught not to play. We're taught not to have fun, and you don't get creative unless you're fun. This is why kids have got this imagination that's unbelievable,
incredible,
because they're playing all the time. Yeah, and it just gets beaten out of us. So I refuse. I'm not doing it anymore. But everything I'm doing, if I'm getting stressed out by what we're doing, then I won't do that anymore. You've got to find a way to make it fun, haven't you?
Yeah, 100%.
That would do. What a time to end it.
Thank you so much. I've really loved it. I've really enjoyed it.
No, I'm really glad. We'll definitely have you back on as well. But I really, love it. Really, great. Thank you so much. Lydia's another one we're going to have back on the show. She runs her own show. She runs her own podcast. I recommend you go and see it. It's in the show notes. Go back and listen to the other interviews as well. We are part of her gang, my wife and I now, and it's something that we know that we're going to be a part of for a long old time. Really, really powerful stuff. This episode was the one that got me back into the podcast charts in a big way. Number 30 odd, I think it was, in the UK charts. Flying. Absolutely flying. That will do anyway. I'll see you next time. We've got a couple more of these to go. Like, comment, subscribe. Do all that good stuff. And it won't be long before we're back into the usual pattern. Nice one.
You've been listening to the 200 to 100,000 pounds challenge podcast. Be sure to join us next time for more real talk and undoubtedly terrible jokes as Des gets ever more closer to saying goodbye poor, hello rich. Sponsored by Seller Amp. Sourcing analysis simplified. Hey. Just a little reminder that this podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only. It cannot and does not constitute any form of financial advice. We know things are tough for a lot of people right now, so if you need assistance organising your money, please seek the help of a qualified financial advisor. And if it's all getting a bit too stressful, please make sure you talk to someone. Remember, you are not alone, and it's okay to not be okay.